Hey partner, I'm Barry, your pocket crew chief, the very first AI-powered mechanic for sim racing. Got a car that's a little loose or tight? Just tell me how it's handling, and I'll whip up instant setup recommendations just for you. Want me to get even more precise? Snap a picture of your setup, and I'll fine-tune it to perfection. And hey, I'm not just about giving orders. I'll explain why every adjustment matters, so you can really understand your ride. I'll even teach you the science behind the setup. Ever wondered why the track bar is so important? I've got the answer. With Pocket Crew Chief, I'll make you smarter, faster, and race ready. So what are we waiting for? Let's build to win.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
It has come to be one of the most well-known tracks, host to prestigious events such as the Coca-Cola 600 and the Bank of America Roval. The world-famous Quad Oval Speedway located in Concord, North Carolina, nicknamed the Beast of the Southeast. It's Charlotte Motor Speedway for Week 7 of the Pocket Crew Chief Winter Series, presented by Spark Racing League. And tonight, it's the host of the VSPEED 165. Welcome inside the VSPEED booth once again. I'm your host and producer, Logan Threlkel, back alongside Sky Shrek. Back to what we know best, and that's turning left. Sky, we've made it so far into the season with Spark. I've got to ask, Week 7, what has been your most memorable moment from the past 6 races?
Ooh, I think mine is probably that Homestead race, the second race of the season. We saw some crazy pit strategy being played there by Dylan LeBeau and a couple other cars. There's no way these guys can make it, and then it turned into, oh wow, they're actually going to make it, and Dylan LeBeau got a win off of that. Definitely one of my favorite moments of the season. How about you, Logan?
You know, I have to go with that Braxton DeWeese win. Right there at Darlington, that was a staple for DeWeese this season. He's had the speed in the first 4 races, just couldn't quite get it up to the front to cross that checkered line first. But that 15, he put it together at Darlington for that crown jewel race that we saw just 2 weeks ago. Came home with his first win. Week number 7 right now, Charlotte on the night for 110 laps. We've got a bye week next week. And then it comes down to our last 3 on the year. We'll start out the run at Talladega. Then we'll go over to the West Coast. Well, not quite the West Coast, but the west side of the United States here to Las Vegas for race number 9. Then back to the east to finish out what has been a phenomenal season at Atlanta. I tell you what, Sky, we've got a shakeup in the points here. We've got a tie for first place. Why don't you tell the people what we've got going on?
We do. Levi Cox is now tied for first. He's got 2 wins this season. Jacob Bradley, our winner last week, got up there, making that tie. But don't look at just those 2, because 1 spot behind him, Braxton DeWeese, winner at Darlington, is only 2 points back in third. From there, it's a little bit of a gap to the rest of the top 5, but Chris Smith, Johnny Rapp, and Chase Berry are all really tight in that battle for 4th. Justin Wilson, 2 and 7th. The rest of your top 12 going to be Dylan LeBeau, Evan Pienta, Jake Mackey, James Danforth, and Max Kost through 12th.
You could essentially say that this top 12 for the non-existent playoff is just an outright points championship here for this 10-race series. But these top 12, they're all under a blanket. It is still anybody's ball game, and it starts here tonight at Charlotte. So
it does for sure. This is really the chase for the championship here. Only 4 more races to go. You got to be perfect. You can't risk having a bad race.
Charlotte Motor Speedway, Concord, North Carolina, opened up in 1960 on June 15th, and it's been here ever since. It's only gone through 1 name change that I could find, and that was the Lowell's Motor Speedway from the early 2000s to, I believe, 2009. Then back to Charlotte it went. 1.5 miles around, 24 degrees of banking in the corners, with a little bit of banking on the back stretch at 5 degrees. It's always going to put on a great show here, and Charlotte just being one of those amazing tracks that you can't seem to really want to get away from or can even dislike.
Yeah, it's iconic. With the Coke 600 here, it's really one of the most famous tracks in all of racing. Helps that so many NASCAR teams are based out of here as well. It just makes it such a special event every time.
That it is, but our qualifying effort is complete. The drivers got their warm-up session in. It's time to get right into our grid, Sky, and setting the pole on the night. That Evan Pienta Designs pole award is going to be Chris Smith in the 28 with a 29.984 next to the 58 of Justin Wilson to the outside. Second row will be Jacob Bradley, last week's winner at Sebring in the 50 on the inside of row 2. Next to Braxton DeWeese in the 15, Darlington winner. Charles Wembley in the 3. Here we'll start out in 5th next to the 54 of Levi Cox, our points leader, tied with Bradley. Ellis Thomas in the 8 will take up the 7th starting spot next to Ryan Jones in the 91 in 8th. 9th goes to Johnny Rapp in the 52 next to the 53 of Chris French in 10th.
Outside your top 10 tonight, won 1 race this season, Dylan LeBeau in 11th, Robert Brobst on his outside in 12th in the 5. Jake Mackey rolls off 13th in the 13, Ryan Phillips 14th in the 27. Row 8 tonight's Evan Pienta in the 55 on his outside, Tom Lickert in 16th in the 99. Back to row 9, it's Brian Brobst in the 11 and 17th, Aiden Neese in the 24 in 18th, and last cars in your top 20 are going to be Rob Liedl in the 80, starting 19th, Sean Mulholland in the 39 rolls off 20th.
21st goes to Peter Stewart in the 9. Going to try to fly through this. I believe they're starting this time by James Danforth in the 88 and 22nd. 23rd, Benson Weaver next to the 84 of Laura Weissman. And Steve Vest in the 60 next to the 06 of Jay Heichman in 26th. 27th goes to Max Cost in the 63 with no qualifying effort next to the 43 of David Hill. 29th, Nick Seraph in the 67 next to the 23 of Zachary Mitchell. Last but not least here, just a couple more drivers to go. Paul Thomas in the 42 will take up the 31st starting position next to the 4 of Nathan Gentry. That'll be our 32-car field on the night. Let's see how many of them make it to the end here. Close quarter combat here at Charlotte. There's not a whole lot of room to make. You have to find your own line. And that is what we're going to see here tonight.
Yeah, it's one of the more narrow mile and a halves, and that always leads to some tight racing. I do want to note, this is a huge pole position for Chris Smith. We mentioned him, he was 4th in the points, but while the top 3 are so tight together, Smith, 27 points out of that first spot there, Levi Cox and Jacob Bradley. So he's got some work to do to get up to the top 3, but this pole position could go a long way towards getting him back up there.
That it certainly might. And we're going to find out how the rest of this race goes. Pace car lights are off. We are green this time by the 28 of Chris Smith on the inside, the 58 of Justin Wilson on the outside. Pace car will come down here. Barry the flag man with the green flag in the air, ready to go. Into the Geico restart zone we are. And first green flag of the night is dropped. And we're racing at Charlotte. Around for lap number 1, Justin Wilson comes from the 2nd spot to claim the first lap lead here as Chris Smith elected to get to the high side as quick as possible. Don't know if that was by choice or forced, but he is now back to the 4th position.
Side by side up there, that's for the lead. Bradley and Wilson going at it for P1. You've got that 58 car on the outside, 50 down on the bottom. Wilson's going to try to make that run work on the top to get around him for the lead. And right now, looks like he will.
For the moment, it's playing good for the 50 machine. The 58 of Wilson looking to capitalize at any given moment. But it's a slurry of race cars behind. Finally starting to get somewhat straightened out, but still 2x2 back here for the 10th position. Johnny Rapp on the inside. It's going to be Chris French high up on the track, followed up by the 5 of Robert Brobst. Got Dylan LeBeau in the 26 there as well. The 55 of Evan Pienta in the picture.
Brobst really wants to make some moves through the field. He's trying a bunch of different lines. He's running the top, running the bottom, trying to do whatever he can to move himself up some positions. He'll look to the inside right here of that 53 car, see if he can get himself inside the top 10 early on.
Back up towards the front, Chris Smith is making a move to get back towards the front of this pack. He's on the inside here of Braxton DeWeese on the 15. Tucked in nicely behind the 3 of Charles Wembley. See if he can do anything as he takes a peek to the inside now of Wembley. Nearly 3 wide through turns 1 and 2.
And Charlotte is one of those tracks where you can run a couple different lines here, almost going 3 wide there, but you can run the top to make speed off the corners, or you can run the bottom with a little more of a tire-saving line there. It's right on that blue line. You can really do anything here and find some speed with it if you've got a fast race car. This is what it's going to come down to, is these side-by-side battles. Right now, they're going at it for 4th.
Race analysis up on your screen. 110 laps on the night, 45 miles an hour down pit road. Only 2 tire sets available over the wall for tonight, so it's going to come down to possibly a tire-saving strategy. However, this night race is going to be a big factor in how long these tires last. As DeWeese now to the inside of Chris Smith. He's going to put that 15 up in the 3rd position as he slots up in front of the 28. 1 green-white checkered attempt at the end of this race if we need it. An 85% fuel load with the iRacing fixed setup.
I think as this race goes on, you're going to see more cars start to migrate through the top. But you saw it from Deweese there. The bottom is really dominant right now. You want to run as far down as you can. I think once these tires start to wear in, once we get about 30 or 40 laps into this race, you're going to see some cars spreading out. I think that's when you'll see more cars in the middle on the top trying to find grip.
We'll see where this racing line migrates as now Deweese enters low into turn 1, but he heads up to the middle lane here. Doesn't quite have the speed to get around Wilson just yet, but he's on the inside into turns 3 and 4 here. Will he have enough to get by before that checkered line? Doesn't quite look like it. Deweese will take third this time by, but certainly challenging for that second spot.
Absolutely. He's going to try to get the nose in again, but Wilson's going to cut him off down there on the bottom. Doesn't want to give the 15 car that inside because he knows how fast Deweese is behind him. He knows he might not get that spot back. There's a pretty big gap right here in the lines between about 12th and 13th. Everyone from Bradley back to Robert Brobst is in one line. That's about a second and a half back to Aiden Neese there in 13th.
Possibly a checkup situation that we missed there, but Aiden Neese in the 24. He's got a lot of ground to make up there. He's going to need some drivers to catch up, start working as a team if this 24 wants to see the back half of the top 10. Looks like a little bit further up ahead. Braxton Deweese, he's got the inside or outside line this time on the 58 of Justin Wilson. Remember, Wilson, our Daytona winner. Charlotte, it's kind of started to race almost like a super speedway, although it is a 1.5 mile track.
Deweese is still looking high there. He's got the advantage, but he hasn't been able to get clear. Because while he's got the run down the straightaway, and I think he'll get it here. There you go. Wilson was fighting back with that run in the center of the corner. Just works better for Deweese on the top. We've seen him make passes high. We've seen him make passes low. That 15 car's got a lot of speed. He's trying to get it to the front.
Now our top 3 starting to separate from the rest of the field here. Chris Smith falling back from the top 3 about a half second right now. Back there in the back half of the top 10, Ryan Jones in the 91, having a little bit of connection issue there. We'll see him blink in and out every once in a while. But he's looking to the inside now of the 8 of Ellis Thomas. See if this move gets completed here on the exit of turn 4. There's that connection issue I just mentioned. We'll keep an eye on Thomas instead here. Johnny Rapp in the picture right now. He's got some help from behind with the 55 of Pienza, but now spreading out just slightly. Rapp's going to lose a position to the 55, possibly the 26.
He'll fall back there. I do want to mention about those internet issues for Rye Jones. Recently, I feel like iRacing's been a little less forgiving with those disconnects. You blink out for a couple seconds, iRacing might just put you back where you blinked out at, and you can find yourself losing 2 or 3 seconds on the racetrack. He's got to be careful that doesn't happen to him, or else it could put him in a really disadvantageous spot here. He's been running in the top 10, but I'd be a little concerned with those internet issues if I was him.
I know iRacing working on enforcing the blinking issues. With the upcoming update here, we might see some of these drivers that the connection can't withstand the race might be forced out of the race by iRacing standards in the coming weeks.
Yeah, we might see that. That's not in place right now. Rye Jones, if it keeps blinking out, could just lose a couple seconds from not having his position be shown to iRacing. This is a little further back in the field. We've got a side-by-side battle going on mid-pack. This is around Sean Mulholland in the 39 on the bottom, Zachary Mitchell in the 23 on the top. They're going at it back here just outside the top 20 for 21st.
And right in front of those two, we've got Ryan Phillips in the 27 machine on the low side of the 1, Benson Weaver. That number 1 hero cards, number 1 machine. Ooh, a little bit of a bobble there for Phillips on that bottom line. Nearly made contact with Weaver. Able to keep it off of the door. Both drivers keep it straight. Weaver back in front.
is barely holding on to that spot in the top 20 here are both of these cars. They're still doing battle further back. Benson Weaver started 20th, or started 23rd, currently running 19th. It's been the opposite story for Ryan Phillips, who started inside the top 15. He's fallen back to 20th. Zachary Mitchell behind is our biggest mover of the race, though, 30th to 21st.
Levi Cox has closed up the ground back to the 3 of Charles Wembley. He's content right now, but takes a look to the inside coming through the trial. Dips the left side tires off into the grass. Not quite able to keep the speed up to get to the inside through 1 and 2. He'll stay right behind the 3 of Wembley. Right behind, though, so Evan Pienta start to take a look to the inside of Rye Jones. He's going to take another look here into the corner. Jones shuts that door quickly.
Pienta, another driver who's done well, started back in 15th, driven it up inside the top 10 to 9th. He's got a little bit of a gap behind him to Johnny Rapp. Doesn't have to worry about that 52 car. All his attention right now is on that blinking car of Rye Jones, which is probably going to concern him a little bit. He wants to get the move done so he doesn't have to deal with those internet issues in front of him, but he can't force the move, because what if Rye Jones blinks out and he doesn't know where he is?
That is a dangerous situation right now for the 55. Got to play your cards carefully there. Cox back to the inside here. Not quite there. He's going to close that gap a lot here on corner entry, all over the back bumper of the 3.
And a little further up, DeWeese has fallen back to 3rd. Wilson's gotten back around him for 2nd. That 15 car is starting to fall off a bit. You got to wonder if he burned the tires up trying to make that push early.
Pienta completes that move finally around the 91 of Jones. Use that high line to his advantage there into turn number 3. Kept the momentum good enough to claim that 8th position. Finally out of, well, now he's having connection issues of his own in the 55.
See, some of these cars are getting a little further up on entry. They're still dropping down to the bottom, but they're running a bit of a shallower approach into the corner. That's usually better for tire saving, helps prolong the life of that rubber, because you're not like having to jerk it down to the bottom. It's a lot smoother for these cars right now going from top to bottom.
We say we hop on board here with our leader, Jacob Bradley, see what it's like to take a lap around Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Hear that engine roar there as he goes down the backstretch into turn 3. Definitely trying to be careful. Doesn't want to pull it down too fast. Gonna ride it off, be very gentle on entry. You can see how he's barely even moving the wheel in the corners, just driving it all with the throttle. That's the mark of a good driver, someone who's got a great shot to win this race.
So one thing to note as well here on board with Bradley, you saw those left side tires kind of cut the grass through the tri-oval. Completely legal to do so. Also has some temperature benefits, especially at night. You can keep those left side tires a little bit cooler if you consistently hit that spot there. Grass, just a slightly less temperature than what the asphalt is. It's a cheeky move, but it does work.
Taking a little cue from the Dale Earnhardt passing the grass there. Maybe not making a pass, but using that grass as a kind of extra driving line.
It's only 76 degrees here in Charlotte. At Charlotte, rather. 84 degrees on the track surface, so temperature shouldn't be much of an issue. That line is working right now for Bradley as he's increased that lead over Justin Wilson to 1.2 seconds.
Yeah, I think those guys who are pushing it like DeWeese have started to burn those tires up a little bit because his lap times have just not been there in the same way that Bradley's have been over the last few laps. Jacob Bradley's done a great job of keeping those tires fresh. Can't really say the same about Braxton DeWeese as he's gone full throttle trying to move up the field.
We started out this race in 4th. He's only up 1 position. Jacob Bradley up 2 from his 3rd place start. Evan Pienta here in the top 10, starting out in 15th, up 8 positions to 7th.
He's still moving to the field here. I think he could try to get up to Levi Cox, but it's a little bit of a gap in front of him. Speaking of Levi Cox, he came into this tied for the points lead, but he's losing time to Jacob Bradley, who's up there leading this race. If he wants to hold on to that lead, he's going to need to get a couple more positions here.
Bradley being that direct competition right now with Cox. Tied for first, Braxton DeWeese. Only a couple points behind both of them. DeWeese comes out with a win here tonight. That could see the 15 at the top of the points standings, depending on where Jacob Bradley finishes or Levi Cox.
It could for sure. And Braxton DeWeese has had so many good runs this year, but just like Jacob Bradley, only has one win to show for it. Either of those drivers would love a chance to get their second win on the season. So would Justin Wilson, currently running second. Chris Smith back in fourth, hasn't won one yet, but he is the highest ranking driver in points who hasn't. He wouldn't mind a first win here either.
Chris French looking to make a move on the 11 of Brian Brobst. Brobst high up on the track. He'll have some momentum coming down the backstretch. French should slot back in. See if the 53 changes up the line here. No, right back to the bottom, letting that 11 have that high line. Nearly into the wall for Brobst. It's going to allow French side by side across the tri-oval here, and that advantage of the inside line through 1 and 2. Nearly has the 11 cleared. Oh, and Brobst into the wall that time. He's going to lose a couple positions. James Danforth gets side by side, and he'll be clear coming down the backstretch. There's that Cinnamon Toast Crunch number 9 right behind, ready to pounce.
Dropping a lot of spots. You really don't want to hit the wall here because this is one of those tracks where the wall can kind of just reach out and grab you, and it can really drop you back a couple of positions. Maybe it won't cause too much damage to your race car because you're not hitting it as steep of an angle, but you can definitely lose time if you get stuck up in there.
Rye Jones made their way around the 55 of Pienta. Got that spot back that we saw lost a few laps ago. The 91 back in 7th, up 1 spot.
Still going at it as they start to cross the start-finish line here. Pienta really wants to move up through the field, but Rye Jones, even with those internet issues, done a good job of holding spot and getting the spot back when he lost it. This has opened up a pretty big gap to Levi Cox in this pack ahead as that 54 tries to challenge Charles Wembley for the top 5.
The one driver I'm seeing missing from the equation here tonight, it's the Darlington Throwback Paint Scheme winner. That's the 13 of Jake Mackey, which I actually just found him. He is on track. He made it. 13 sitting in 19th right now, down 6 positions from his starting spot. But as mentioned, won that Darlington Throwback Challenge that we saw a couple weeks ago. We had voting up in the VSPEED Discord for all community members to have a say in who won that one. The 13 came away with a landslide victory.
He had a great scheme that race. He's going to want to be a little higher up in the field tonight like he was in that pole. Going to want to get himself back into the top 15, even the top 10 here later on.
Got 5 cars under a blanket here, starting with the 58 of Wilson. The 15 of DeWeese. 26 of Chris Smith getting the inside line here. He'll be side by side with the 15 coming out of turn number 4. DeWeese was able to make it back up to that second spot, but now under fire once more from the 28. 3 more cars right behind. That's the 58 of Wilson, the 3 of Charles Wembley, the 54 of Levi Cox.
This has been a battle for second for a while now. These two have been going at it for about 25 or so laps. DeWeese had it. Or my bad, that was with Wilson back there. Chris Smith is now up in here for third. DeWeese has been battling for second for it feels like the last 20 or 25 laps now, and he's still trying to get the spot.
So the 28 of Smith saw that the 58 and the 15 were battling. And he was able to save some tires in the meantime. I wonder if that's playing a factor now for Chris Smith and his attack on the 15. A little bit of action, it looks like, further behind here. The 8 of Ellis Thomas defending against the 55 of Pienta. A little bit of a snake action down the backstretch. Back up towards that last battle we just saw. Levi Cox was able to get around the 3 of Wembley. Now falling behind the 58 of Wilson.
If he wants to stay first or even second in the points, he's going to need to get around Deweese here, because with Deweese only 2 points back of Levi Cox, he needs to get within about 1 or 2 spots of him here unless he wants to drop back all the way to third in the point standings. It's going to be really tight coming down to the final few races, especially when all these cars are racing so close like they are tonight. We're still side by side for second, because Smith has gotten it back up the inside of Deweese here. We're about a third of the way through this race, and this battle has not died down at all.
To me, it looks like the 58 of Wilson, he's going to try to find the faster car here. He wants to start this battle back for second place once more. Loses a little bit of ground there to Chris Smith. Had the 54 of Cox all over the back bumper. Cox now to the outside. Can't quite seem to pick where he wants to go. Here comes the 4 of Nathan Gentry. He'll be a lap down here. High up on the track, into the wall, staying out of the way of the leaders.
Wilson's trying to get to the inside of Deweese, but he can't get there. Levi Cox is going to take that as an opportunity, though, because he's going to take a look to the inside of that 58 car. Doesn't quite have it here. He'll stay back in 5th. Deweese still has it up there for second, but that outside is working better for Chris Smith, trying to get his first win of the season running second.
Cox still on the inside of Wilson. 54 has a good run coming through 1 and 2. Will be able to slide up in front of the 58. He does not. He stays on the middle line coming down the backstretch. The 3 of Wembley helping out the 58 from behind. A little bit of a draft advantage, but not enough. Cox right back on attack, and the 15 at Deweese brings it down pit road, and that shuffles everything up. Cox unable to keep it under control. The 58 of Wilson spinning through the infield. We've got no caution. There it is.
And that is going to be massive for the point standings here, because that is 2 of your top cars. Levi Cox tied for the points lead. Justin Wilson back in 7th, both taking large amounts of damage there from a contact with the wall. And I hope Deweese got it into the pit lane before the caution came out. I think he did. If he didn't, he might get a penalty out of that. And I think he's got some damage on that car as well.
Take it back here one more time. We'll get on the back bumper of Deweese. This is coming down the backstretch here. A little bit of a miscommunication here. Deweese starts slowing down. That closing rate speed was just a little bit too much for the 54. Deweese even gets sideways into pit road. Let's take it back here from a different vantage point.
Yeah, Deweese, he was cutting it close with a pit road speeding penalty there. That was why he slid entering the pits. He was trying to avoid a penalty. It looked like he went in at about 46, 45 being the limit. We'll see how that shakes out. Yeah, Levi Cox was just trying to dodge him, got into Bradley, got into the wall.
Not what you want to see for a points contender. And I didn't even recognize the 58 of Justin Wilson ended up in the middle of the track, and a big pile up afterwards, collecting even more cars. Let's take it back again here.
Taking major damage. Yeah, it looked like that was Peter Stewart and Ryan Phillips both getting taken out of the race in that one. Not a great moment there for Peter Stewart.
58 stuck in the middle of the track. Here comes the 9 right into that right rear quarter panel. Man, Benson Weaver with barely any room to get around. Let's take an onboard here with the 1. See what it looked like from his point of view.
I would like to know, there was a couple chat messages from Braxton Deweese saying hitting in, so I think he assumed other drivers knew what he was doing, and Levi Cox clearly just a little unaware there on entry.
So on the top of the one machine right now, we'll hop inside for a better view. Oh my, he did catch it a little bit, but not enough to be worried too much about damage. There's the 27 up into the wall as well. It's going to be some big time damage for Ryan Phillips. And what a turn of events here on lap 41.
That is going to be horrible for Levi Cox in the point standings. It might, I think, work out pretty well for Braxton Deweese. Actually, I take that back because Braxton Deweese went a lap down on pit road there. I was going to say if he didn't go a lap down, it would have been great for him because he would have cycled back to the lead once everyone else pit. But he is going to have to take that wave around, and it looks like he'll be stuck at the back of the field.
Not ideal circumstances here on Wednesday night. Not quite halfway through the race. Only our first caution on the night for the VSPEED 165. So far, it's been clean and green up until that point. It's maybe, like I mentioned, a little bit of miscommunication. Maybe the chat messages there lost in translation to the 54 of Cox, and hard-fought battle comes to an end for a couple drivers. It will likely be the end of the day for the 58 and the 54.
54 is still trying to get it moving. He's still in the pit lane, but I don't know if he's going to be able to get it back out. This is going to be huge for Jacob Bradley because the only two cars who were really close to him in points are now on pit road with damage, and last car on the lead lap. This is exactly what that 50 car needs to try to pull ahead in the championship with 3 races after this.
We're set to go green one more time. Into the Geico restart zone we go. The 50 of Bradley leads the charge, and a big jump from the inside line. Bradley and Wembley both with a big jump, and immediately to the outside ahead of the 28 of Chris Smith. Back to the bottom here through 1 and 2. That's a scramble behind.
It is. You see Rye Jones was trying to look to the outside of Pienza there for 4th. Wasn't able to get it done. Had to pull back in the line. We're side by side a little further back. That's Dylan LeBeau and Johnny Rapp looking back in that 7th position. Tight battles all through the field, and it's only going to get more intense as the laps continue to run down.
Pienta and Jones, the big winners there from that caution. They were at the back half of the top 10. Now they've solidified their position here in the top 5 on this restart. The 52 of Johnny Rapp down to the inside here. The battle for 9th with Aiden Neese. Neese sent it around the outside and back in front of the 52, but just ahead the 91 of Jones. A little bit slower. Neese picks up 2. Johnny Rapp looks to the inside now of the 91. 88 of Danforth right behind.
Neese big mover plus 10 started back in 18th this race, and he's got it up in 8th right now. Really fast out of that 24 car.
Back towards the back, it's the 15 of Deweese. He is on the lead lap, but all the way back in 20th. Just got around the 42 of Paul Thomas. He's got a lot of cars to drive through if he wants to have any sort of success here tonight.
An update on Levi Cox. He is still in the pits, 4 laps down. That is going to end his chances of a even decent finish today.
Cox and Phillips both out of this race. The 58 of Justin Wilson still sitting on pit road getting damage fixed. First car 1 lap down is the 99 of Tom Lickert. Chris French gets around Rye Jones. Rye Jones battling back here. Around the outside he goes. Aiden Neese follows. They're using up those tires, but it's working right now. Neese in the 24 claiming another spot.
Been an adventurous restart here for Rye Jones. He was up in 5th, went back to 9th. He's already got it back up to 7th. Doing a lot of passing and a lot of getting past, and that is definitely not going to help his tires in the long run. This is a really tight pack behind. You're seeing Jake Mackey back there running in that 13th position. A lot of cars in a really short distance. He's working on Brian Brobst in 11th on the bottom.
Brobst in the 11. Currently sitting 13th now. Mackey able to get the advantage here through 3. See if he holds on to it, staying way out wide. I mean, plenty of room to the 11. He's got to complete this pass soon as the 11 nearly slides up into the left rear quarter panel.
He's running a little higher than Danforth, one spot in front of him, and he's running a little higher again off the corner. That's going to make him vulnerable to Benson Weaver, who's running that top in the 1 car. Same line up there as Jake Mackey trying to gain spots in that 1 car, but Brobst prevailing for now on the inside.
Teammates there between the 13 and the 1, very similar paint jobs, but ultimately working together here, surely making out calls on where to go and when to do it. Both of them working up through the field as now Mackey has gotten the advantage over Chris French. The 13 makes his way up to the top 10 for the first time tonight.
And they're still side by side back in that battle for 13th, Weaver and Brobst. It looks like Benson Weaver is going to get the spot for now, but as soon as he gets around Brian Brobst, there's another car on the bottom. It's James Danforth. A lot of cars in a short amount of time. Weaver's going to try to do all he can to get as many as he can on the top. He's got Danforth now up to 12th. Now it's Chris French in the 53, next car on the bottom.
Some movement back behind as well. Max Kost is making some ground up into the 15th position, up 12 spots from the start of this race, as well as the 1 is Weaver. So good movement for both of those drivers here in the middle of everything.
Side by side here, this is DeWeese moving his way back up through the field. After restarting around 25th, he's already got it back up to 17th. We know he's got a lot of speed, but he has to work through 16 more cars if he wants to get back to Jacob Bradley.
A lot of good drivers ahead as well in this battle up here. We've got the battle between Aiden Neese and Johnny Rapp. Right behind Jake Mackey, Benson Weaver. Behind that, Chris French, James Danforth still going back and forth with Brian Brobst in the picture as well. A lot of good tight pack racing here. It's going to be a challenge for the 15 machine. Back up towards the front, though, Charles Wembley has closed that gap to Jacob Bradley for that first position. See if he can do anything to put the 3 on the top step of the podium here.
I'm not sure that we've seen Charles Wembley lead any real laps this season. This would be a first for him if he's able to get around that 50 car of Jacob Bradley. Wembley's had some top 5, some top 10 speed. Hasn't made a run at the lead yet. We'll see if he can get it done here as we cross halfway at Charlotte.
We'll hang out on board here with the 3 of Wembley. Take a look at what it's like to be in that second spot, playing follow the leader.
You can see him following that 50 car around the racetrack there. That inside line is preferred for both of these top 2 cars because it's better for tire saving. It gives you a little more long run speed. I don't think we've seen Bradley move off the bottom all race. And I don't think Wembley will do it either if he can make the move. Car's starting to get a little closer up there to the 50. He's closing that gap. He's got it under 0.2 of a second pretty consistently. Hasn't been able to actually get the move done, though. He's going to lose a little bit more time here going through 1 and 2.
Chris French finally starting to charge back up through the field here. He's got the advantage now over the 1 of Benson Weaver. 53 on the inside. James Danforth also following in line. It's the 11, the 63, and the 84 of Laura Weissman. in the STP.
That's one driver we haven't mentioned at all this race. Laura Wiseman up 10 spots, 24th to 15th. It's been a slower charge through the field for her, but she's still getting it done, moving into the top 15.
Well, we've hopped on board at the front. What do you say we hop on board with Weissman here in the middle of everything?
I think it sounds like a great idea, especially with how much battling's going on right in front of her.
It's on board now with the 84. Back here in the thick of it. 15th spot currently for the STP Supra. Following closely behind the 63 of Cost. Allowing just enough room to react and see around that 63. If anything was to go wrong, certainly could have an opportunity to make a move around it.
These drivers up here in this kind of 15th or about 8th region have been battling so hard for position. They've certainly been pushing these cars to their maximum, trying to get something out of it. Laura Wiseman's got to be a little wary behind the car as well, because now trying to pull to the top on the right side of that 84 is Braxton DeWeese. He's on his charge back up from 25th, and he'll stick it side by side to try to get back into the top 15.
DeWeese finding the pace that he needs to make that charge through the field, but at what cost? How are the tires looking? How long will they last? And what is the fuel run on the 15?
We know his tires are not going to be as good as the rest of the field just because of all the overtakes he's had to make all the different lines he's had to run in order to actually make those overtakes, as he's now around max cost up to 14th on the night. His sets are now set on Brian Brobst up there for 13th. But you can see him trying different lines. He's running the top, he's running the middle, he's running the bottom. And when he makes these moves, I mentioned earlier in the race how you want to run a very shallow entry to the corner, ease it down to the bottom. When you're making a move like DeWeese did on max cost, you have to really pull it down there quickly to get that car up the inside. That wears out your tires, and he's had to do that a lot to get these moves done. So definitely not going to have the best tire life, but I think if he gets a well-timed caution, he could still play a factor for a top 5.
A little bit further behind back here, it's a battle for 17th. It's the 39 of Sean Mulholland against Hayden Neese on the outside. Mulholland with a great drive off the bottom of turn number 4. He's going to make that pass. Not quite there, but side by side. Looked like a better run than what I thought. Now he's going to get it complete and slot up in front of the 24. The 5 of Robert Brobst looked to do the same, but ultimately has to slide back in behind Aiden Neese. Right behind, it's a battle between Rob Liedl and Paul Thomas. The 80 on the outside, the 42 of Thomas on the inside.
Shout out to Paul Thomas. 20th isn't a flashy result, but he started back in 31st, so getting anything you can from a bad starting spot like that is a good thing, and it'll help you in the long run. That's what he's doing here. We're still side by side. We might be looking 3 wide. We will be looking 3 wide, but he's going to back out a little bit behind him. Rob Liedl almost decided to send it up the inside of Brobst there.
That would have been an interesting move going into turn number 3. Liedl thinking better of it. We're just barely halfway through this race. Didn't want to end it too early. Robert Brobst up into 18th. Just ahead. Battle for 13th is on once more between the teammates. Jake Mackey, Benson Weaver. Weaver on the inside here. Following right behind the 15 of DeWeese in that Interstate Ford Mustang.
I was going to say, look at DeWeese up to 12th, 1 spot ahead of that battle. He's only 2 positions, about 7/10 of a second out of a top 10 as these two continue to go at it for 13th. Weaver's got the advantage, but if Mackey has the run through the corner on the top, he's certainly going to have the run out of the corner on the top. He will. He'll get clear for 13th.
63 of Cost being held at bay right now by the one of Weaver. Laura Weissman's still right there in the picture. Just ahead, DeWeese is caught back up to the 11. He's going to look to the outside here. I was thinking he was setting up for the crossover. The 11 electing to take the bottom here, forces the 15 high, but he's going to have a big run coming off of turn number 2. Will certainly beat out well before the entry of turn 3.
Wrecking to the back. Rob Liedl just wrecked.
So Rob Liedl sideways on the backstretch out of turn number 2. And our second caution on the night is out.
And that'll probably be good for Braxton DeWeese because, you know, he's worn up his tires, getting himself back up to 11th. Now he's got a chance to put a brand new set on them with 40 to go.
It'll be interesting to see if DeWeese chooses to do so, though, only having 2 sets over the wall on the night. Let's take it back on the Overcut Instant Replay, take a look at what happened to the 80.
This was contact with Robert Brobst there on the bottom. This is going to come one corner later. It's through turn 2. Brobst just gets a little bit up the racetrack on that inside line. You'll see it right here. Liedl's cutting down to the middle, and Brobst just gets a little high off the apron. Hits Liedl, he gets into the fence, and comes back down across the track into Aiden Neese in the 24.
Aiden Neese also not having the best luck tonight. The 80 of Liedl. Ah, man. That's a rough one. That was a big hit to the wall there on that correction after the initial contact. Let's take a look on board here. Big hit to both sides of the car there. And then even nosed into the wall.
He hit about everything but the rear end there.
Now it looks like the back bumper's still straight on the 80 machine. I think that's the only piece of sheet metal on this thing that's still good to go.
And speaking of pitting, we've got some big changes on pit road. 3 cars came down to take 2 tires. Everybody else took 4 and are now your new top 3. Those are Chris French, Johnny Rapp, Brian Brobst, all clear of everybody else behind.
99 of Lickert leading the pack a lap down. See,
I'm actually not even sure if the 53 took tires. He bid for 6 seconds. I feel like 2 tires is typically around 7 or 8 here in this car. Maybe fuel only, but I think the smart play would have been 2 if you were going to come down for fuel.
Well, what do you say we pull that driver up here into the VSPEED booth as we've got one more lap to go around before we see some green flag action. Let's ask him.
I think that's a great idea. Let's get him up here. Working on that right now for you. We should be able to speak to Chris French here in just a second. Hey, Chris, this is the VSPEED booth. You got a copy?
I got a copy.
You're now in the lead on pit strategy. Tell us, what'd you do on pit road, and how do you think this is going to play out from here?
So just took fuel there, doing a little bit of a gamble. It's a 50-50 shot with where I'm at in points. It's worth a shot, so we'll see how it plays out. But, yeah, I just been saving tires the entire time and stayed about where I started. So just trying to see if I can get a little bit extra and at least got that bonus point now.
All right, thanks for that. We're going back green, so we'll send you back down there. Thank you for that, Chris French.
Thank you, guys.
So an interesting call, to say the least. We'll see if it pays off for the 53 machine. The 52 of Johnny Rapp to the outside. 11 of Brian Brobst on the inside of row 2. Right next to him, the one we've seen dominating this race, Jacob Bradley, who did take 4 tires on that pit stop. The 50 in the second row on the outside. Pace car is coming off. Barry the flag man with the green flag in hand once more. French into the Geico restart zone, and the flag is dropped immediately. And a big spin coming from the inside of the second row there. Brian Brobst, he collected it back up. Big spin there from the 52 as well, it appears. Johnny Rapp, he's lost some ground now to French, and it's 3 wide with Bradley in the middle. Brobst on the bottom, Rapp on the outside. The 3 of Charles Wembley right there as well. And the 55 of Pienza sideways. We'll see. Does he collect it back? He does. Back up onto the bottom line for the 55. We stay green. Jacob Bradley.
We were 3 wide, 2 rows deep there. That was crazy.
Jacob Bradley got the best of it as he's back up into second place with fresh tires over the 53. Will certainly claim that spot back, and then it's Rye Jones with the next fresh set of tires right there in front of the 52, getting pushed down the back stretch. We'll get that ticker back up on the screen for you as well. Dylan LeBeau behind in the 7th position. That Wonder Bread Chevy Camaro currently sitting in 7th, but battling is, look now who it is. It's the 15 of Braxton DeWeese, back up into the top 10, currently sitting 9th. He's got a lot of room to make up still yet, but he's got the pace to do it, and that restart certainly helped, as DeWeese did elect to take 4 tires, so that last set of tires now on the 15. Can he make it to the end of this 110-lap race? 165 miles when it's all said and done.
He's definitely trying to do it. He's still looking there in 7th. This would be huge if he's able to get back up there, because he came into this race 2 points behind that 50 car of Jacob Bradley. Being able to get up there and challenge would be huge, especially with Levi Cox, the other main contender, out of the race early in an accident. This would be massive for him. It would really separate him and Bradley as the top 2 in the points, and now he's looking on Charles Wembley. This will get him back all the way up to 5th.
Even if DeWeese stays right where he is, it's still a good points finish with 3 races left to go. Back behind, it looks like Chris French into the wall there in turns 1 and 2. And now DeWeese to the inside of Wembley into turn number 3. He's got the line. He'll make his way around the 3. Contact with the wall just ahead. I think that was the 58 of Justin Wilson, who is laps down. Looks like going to fall some more laps down. But it's Jacob Bradley, Chris Smith, Rye Jones, Ellis Thomas making up your top 4 right now.
Yep, Justin Wilson is 27 laps down, but he's going to keep going at it, because Rob Liedl is in the pits out of the race, and he's only 7 laps down. So if he runs 20 more laps, that's a point that he gets on Rob Liedl, and he needs any points he can. He came into this race running 7th. We're side by side for 3rd. Now it's going to get straightened out there with Ellis Thomas up into 3rd. Another driver wanting to get any points he can to try to improve his spot with 32 laps to go.
Luis into the top 5 now, but there's a whole lot of ground there still to make up. He's got a pack of 3 behind. They can work together. That 15 might see the challenge for the podium positions here. He's got to keep an eye on those tires. Further behind, 84 of Laura Weissman's made the way up to the 10th position. First time in the top 10 tonight for the 84 machine, up 14 positions. Benson Weaver, James Danforth ahead. All 3 of those drivers up 14 on the night. There's been a lot of movement since the start of this race, Sky.
For sure. Your top 6 cars all started up front in the top 8 or so. The 6 cars behind them, only Chris French started in the top 10. So a lot of drivers have been able to come up through the field here at Charlotte, get themselves in good positions for the finish of this race.
Chris French, who started that last restart, now back to 12th with those no tires, fuel only call. Johnny Rapp in the same boat, started 2nd on that restart, now back to 14th for the 52.
Chris French's strategy right now is he wants 5 laps and then he wants a caution so that he can get new tires on the car, because he's going to be basically the only driver that's able to get 4 new tires on the car, and then he can blow past everybody who's already used all their tire sets.
We missed the pass for the lead, but Ellis Thomas able to collect a lap lead here tonight. The 8 machine on the outside. Jacob Bradley still battling from the inside here. We'll see if he has anything to say back to the 8. Got the drive off of turn number 4. He's going to get right back in front of Ellis Thomas, this time by. The 50 didn't like not being in the lead of this race.
No, he's led the whole thing so far, and he's done a great job of maintaining it over the 8 cars challenge right there. Now, Rye Jones is going to make a big move down all the way to the bottom on the straightaway. He'll look for second on Ellis Thomas. He's saying if the 8 car couldn't get it done on Bradley, I'll try to get it done on Bradley.
Looked like potentially a bobble there on corner exit for Ellis Thomas. That was a big sin down the backstretch to get way low of the 8 machine for the 91 of Jones. Jones still on the inside here, looking to take away that second place spot. Side by side down the backstretch we go into turn number 3. It's still door to door all the way through 3 and 4. It's not the end of the race, but these drivers sure are driving like it.
Well, you've got it. There's no more tire sets left in the pits. This is going to be what you finish the race on. And so there's really no point in waiting. If you want to get the move done, you're running out of time to do it with 26 to go.
Jacob Bradley loving what he's seeing in the rearview mirror. 2 cars battling, 1 stuck behind. That's the 28 of Chris Smith, rather. He's sticking right behind Rye Jones here. But able to get clear up to the high side every time. It allows a little bit more speed on the drive off of the corner. But now he's going to challenge the inside of Thomas. He'll be side by side through 1 and 2. Won't be able to get that drive off the corner like he has seen. Keeps it way low on the track. Had enough room to fit a Greyhound bus. It still sticks side by side. Right behind. Go ahead, Sky.
This is now the battle back here. This is for 6th. It's Pienta. He's looking to be inside of Wembley. Wembley was challenging for the lead earlier in this race, falling back to 7th. He's going to hopefully try to pull a long run strategy here and get himself back up there by the end.
Justin Wilson was helping the 55 of Pienta there get around the 3. Now slots in behind both drivers. Keep an eye on those drivers. Take a look back through the rest of the field. David Hill, another driver we haven't mentioned a whole lot tonight. Driver of the 43. That neon green Chevy Camaro around the outside of the 53 of French.
French is really struggling on that no tire call. If he gets a caution, maybe it'll work out for him, but as it stands, he's kind of in no man's land. He's the slowest car in the field on those worn tires, and he's just going to keep free falling back. No hope for him unless he gets that yellow that'll let him get through the field.
A little bit further back here. Got a couple more drivers that are battling for positions. The 26 looking to overtake the 24 of Nice. LeBeau within that 1/10 of a second range. Needs to have a good drive off or a good entry here to get side by side almost into that left rear quarter. As Nice swerving down the backstretch. Dylan LeBeau said no more. He took that inside line and ran with it. Will he get clear here on corner exit? He will not. Still side by side with the 24. 60 is Steve Vest right behind as well, looking to follow that same line as LeBeau. Now LeBeau clears the 24, and it's Steve Vest's turn to attack.
LeBeau came into this race 8th in points. It's not been a great day for him. He's going to need to get a little higher if he wants to hold on to that top 10 point standings as we head into the last 3 races of the year. But he won it the last 1.5 miles in Homestead on a strategy call. So if we get another race that comes down to strategy like that one, watch out for Dylan LeBeau.
Hate to cut away from that battle between the 24 and the 60, but DeWeese was making a move on Ellis Thomas, who also pulled in the 55 of Pienta now. Thomas down 2 positions. DeWeese into the top 4. Pienta battling for 5th now with the 8 machine, side by side across the tri-oval into turn number 1. Pienta just following the 15 machine as closely as possible. Finally gets clear of the 8.
Pienta up into the top 5 after starting back in 15th tonight. Good run for him. First time he's been up there in the last couple laps here. DeWeese making big moves here up to 4th. He is going to look to catch up to Chris Smith in third, but I think he's going to need a little bit more because he's still about a second back.
99 of Tom Lickard there on the high side, staying out of the way of the leaders. The 91 of Jones. Then Chris Smith fall behind. Yeah, Jacob Bradley nearly stretching out to a 1 second gap once more in the 50 machine here. Looks like some action at the back of the pack between the 24 of Nice and the 11 of Brobst. It's a battle for 18th.
Bradley's trying to dominate his second race in a row. If you remember last week at Sebring, Bradley got the lead immediately, ran away, did a great job to hold on to it. The only thing that stopped Bradley from leading every lap this race like he did last week is pitch strategy. A couple cars stayed out there on that caution, led some laps. Those are really the only ones that Bradley hasn't led this whole time.
So Bradley has an opportunity here as we're inching ever so close to the end of this race. I believe that's the 80 of Rob Liedl now coming back out on the track. But Bradley with the opportunity to be the second back-to-back winner on the season. Levi Cox did it at Iowa, then Auto Club a few weeks ago. We'll see if Bradley has anything to say about it. What a time to start catching momentum here at the end of this race. Towards the end of the season, rather. Here in week number 7. It's getting close, Sky. I'm not sure I'm ready for it to end.
It is. Want to give a quick update on someone further back. Sean Mulholland out of the race a couple laps ago. He was running around 20th. He is out with VR issues. His headset broke.
That is not what you want to see.
It's not at all, especially a technical failure like that you don't really have any control over.
I was more so referring to the inevitable black screen that Sean Mulholland was seeing through that VR headset.
I got you.
But right now, Chris Smith still hounding at the back door of Jones. Deweese closing that gap, sitting 3/4 of a second back now from Chris Smith. That gap is closing. Deweese burning up those tires for sure. He's got to do something. We are in the closing laps, within 15 to go now.
Yeah, this is the time for Deweese. He really can't leave anything on the table. He hasn't been able to leave anything on the table since he was running all the way back in the field. He needs to go for it. He needs to get the move done. And he doesn't look to have the tires right now, but he is slowly but surely gaining time. He's cut in about, I want to say, 0.2 of a second over the last few laps. So he is slowly getting there. And as Rye Jones continues to do side-by-side battle with Chris Smith, it's only going to help that 15 car.
Chris Smith finally got to the inside there of Rye Jones, but now we've got some lap traffic in the picture. That's a 5 of Robert Brobst. Oh, cuts the nose off the 91. I don't know if he's trying to get out of the way. Oh, Pienta into the wall on corner exit. Now it's time for Jones to attack once more on the 28 machine. To the inside goes the 91 there. The 5 just kind of in the way at the moment there.
Yeah, well, Chris Smith, our pole sitter, we mentioned he came into this race 4th in points, but at a pretty big deficit to the top 3. Not going to have that deficit anymore as Deweese got in a little bit of trouble there with Brobst, lost spots back to 6th. He's going to have to work his way up. He's side by side with Ellis Thomas. He's gotten passed by Evan Pienta.
Deweese essentially got blocked by the 5 machine. Hopefully not intentionally by any means, but loses 2 position. He was ever so close. He was closing that gap of 3/4 of a second. And now the 15 machine is going to be a 1.5 seconds back from a podium position because of that.
Yeah, right. He's going to need to really push, not just to get around Rye Jones if he wants to try to do that, but to get around Pienta as well.
Thomas and Wembley now battling side by side here for the 6th position. A little bit of contact between the two. Justin Wilson right behind, pushing the 8 machine. Thomas will have, gets into the wall there. So that's going to kill the momentum that Thomas might have had. Big loose off of corner exit. Back into the wall goes the 8. He keeps it straight, but look at all that right front damage now.
I told you that wall can really just grab you. You get in a situation like that. Can be really easy to either not get it out of the wall at all, or if you do get it out of the wall, get hit again and go straight back into the wall.
So Deweese driving like a madman now. He's back to the bumper, the 55 of Pienta. Will he have enough to get around and at least claim a top 4 position? Surely not enough race left as we're inside 10 to go. We'll be starting 8 to go here this time by. Jacob Bradley with a dominating lead right now, nearly a second and a half over Chris Smith in second, who's still defending against the 91 of Ry Jones.
And this is going to be a win by it's going to be the second win for Jacob Bradley. It's going to be a win by about a second and a half here if he holds the gap that he has. And this is going to really help him in the point standings. He's going to get a couple more points clear of Deweese. But the driver he came in here tied with, Levi Cox, is going to come out of here finishing 28th tonight. So Jacob Bradley is going to be clear in the points lead by about 10 points, it'll look like, over Deweese. And then from there, it's going to be interesting. I think it'll be Chris Smith moving up into third. Levi Cox, with that bad finish, might go all the way back to fourth here.
Man, almost he has the potential to go back even further. That top 7, you could throw a blanket over all 7 of the drivers in the points chase. You say we bring it back up here and take a quick look. So Cox and Bradley tied for first. Braxton Deweese back just by 2 points. I guess that gap's a little bit bigger than I expected there from third to fourth. Looks like the 5 of Robert Brobst now has a meatball flag. So a lot of damage there on the 5 machine. That's going to pull him off the track before the finish of this race.
He was already running 1 down, too. I wonder if that is for his tires, because he was one of the guys who stayed out, who didn't really pit. I mean, that might be just a tire issue there, where he hasn't changed tires in 80 laps, and they've gone basically flat.
It very well could be. Right now, the 50 of Bradley, though, he loves to come around and see that 5 laps to go up on the board. A little bit of lap traffic here. This is 24 of Nice. He'll stay way out of the way for Jacob Bradley here. 4 to go this time by. A second and a half gap for Jacob Bradley right now.
It's looking really good for Jacob Bradley right now. He's doing everything he needs to do, holding that lead. This is a little further back. This is Chris Smith, the car who's currently running in P2, as he attempts to get through some lap traffic. It's not happening. Or my bad, sorry. Very similar paint schemes. I saw the 8 on the car and thought it was Chris Smith. This is Ellis Thomas. He's still working through some lap traffic. He's just running back in 8th instead of in 2nd. He is going to try to look at James Danforth, who's that next car up the road there, running 7th with 3 to go.
Before the end of this race, I do want to give a big shout out here to the 42 of Paul Thomas. He's made his way up to 12th position, nearly up 20 spots on the race. He will finish here at 19 positions gained, starting back in 31st on the night. A fantastic race for the 42 machine. 12th place finish might not have all the fanfare and the glory, but whenever you look at the stats, they don't lie.
No, and that's the benefit of just keeping your nose clean, staying out of trouble, playing the pit strategy right. Paul Thomas done everything he needed to do to get himself a good run tonight, even if he didn't have the speed to come away with the top 5.
Jacob Bradley on corner exit, white flag in the air. It is official from this point on. Jacob Bradley with a 2.5 second gap over second place. He has 3 more corners to go. The exit of 2, the backstretch, and then 3 and 4. And a massive gap there, as you can see. The 50 machine coasting cruise control for the last 20 laps. And Jacob Bradley does it. He goes back-to-back with Sebring and now Charlotte, solidifying that points lead going into the last 3 races on the year.
And that's how you want to go into an off week. Carry that momentum with 2 straight wins. Great race for him. He gets it done. Further back, Chris Smith, Rye Jones, Braxton DeWeese, Charles Wimbley, the rest of your top 5.
55 of Pienza and the 88 of Danforth. That's not what you want to see before the winner gets to celebrate. Not enough damage to call it quits by any means, but certainly would like to get some pictures on the podium with a clean car. 50 of Bradley will bring it back around here, settle down right at the start-finish line, and ultimately burn it down here for the fans in Charlotte. Let the 50 have his moment here. Get all the celebration he can to his heart's content. Into the infield grass he goes. Yet another fantastic race here with the Spark Racing League on Wednesday nights. Send it to a quick commercial break, then we'll be right back with our post-race coverage and interviews with our top 3. We know that we want to hear from the 50 machine on these back-to-back wins. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Hey partner, I'm Barry, your pocket crew chief, the very first AI-powered mechanic for sim racing. Got a car that's a little loose or tight? Just tell me how it's handling, and I'll whip up instant setup recommendations just for you. Want me to get even more precise? Snap a picture of your setup, and I'll fine-tune it to perfection. And hey, I'm not just about giving orders. I'll explain why every adjustment matters, so you can really understand your ride. I'll even teach you the science behind the setup. Ever wonder why the track bar is so important? I've got the answer. With Pocket Crew Chief, I'll make you smarter, faster, and race ready. So what are we waiting for? Let's build to win.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
And we're back live with our post-race coverage of the VSPEED 165 here in the Pocket Crew Chief Winter Series, presented by Spark Racing League. Get right into our post-race results here, with Jacob Bradley claiming 2 in a row, puts the 50 machine on the top of the board with only 2 cautions on the night, 5 lead changes. It was a battle for everybody behind the 50. Second place goes to Chris Smith in the 28 machine, followed up by a third place finish by Ryan Jones. Braxton DeWeese got set back early on, all the way back to the 25th position, battles all the way back to 4th. Fantastic night for the 15, although not on the podium. The 3 of Charles Wimbley takes home the 5th finishing spot here, followed up by the 55 of Evan Pienta. The 88 of James Danforth takes home 7th here on the night. And then the 8 machine of Ellis Thomas finishes in 8th. Vincent Weaver in the 1 takes home the 9th spot on the night. And last but not least in our top 10, a great finish for the 84 of Laura Weissman.
Outside your top 10 tonight, 11th is going to be Jake Mackey, finishing 11th in the 13 car. Paul Thomas, 12th in the 42. Chris French, 53 car, finishes 13th. Johnny Rapp, 52 car, finishes 14th. Dylan LeBeau, 15th in the 26. Steve Vest, 16th in the 60. Jay Heischman and David Hill, last 2 cars on the lead lap in the 06 and the 43. And then 1 lap down, it's Brian Brobst in the 11, 19th, Aiden Neese in the 24 and 20th.
To bring out the back half of our field, the 63 of Max Koss takes home the 21st position, followed up by Zachary Mitchell in 22nd. 23rd goes to Robert Brobst in the 5 machine. The 99 of Tom Lickert gets 24th. Sean Mulholland in the 39, who ended up having those VR headset issues, retains the 25th finishing position, as Rob Liedl was unable to get one more lap around, finishing in 26th. The 58 of Justin Wilson, not the night that he wanted to see, takes home 27th. Levi Cox came into this race in the tie for the lead on the points. Bad night for him will set him back quite a ways, finishing in 28th. 29th goes to Ryan Phillips in the 27 machine. Peter Stewart with an early exit on the night finishes in 30th. The 4 of Nathan Gentry takes home the 31st position. And last but not least, it's the 67 of Nick Seraph. I hope I'm saying that, Nick. If I'm not, get with me after the race, and we'll get that corrected for the last 3 races. We've got some interviews to get into here, Sky. And first up on the board, it's the 91 of Ryan Jones. Ryan Jones, you got a copy?
Yeah, I got you guys.
Well, a 3rd place finish on the night. You started out in 8th. This, I believe, is your best finish on the season with a late entry into the Pocket Crew Chief Winter Series.
Yeah, I'm pretty disappointed in that, to be honest with you. I usually do better, but life kind of gets the best of us and can't race as much as I used to. But hopefully I can get back into it some more here soon.
Well, we're happy to have you here in a 3rd place finish to boot. What was it like driving out here at Charlotte Motor Speedway? We saw you in quite a few battles with multiple drivers all night. Run us down on how those went and how you felt about the driving that was out here on Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Yeah, it was pretty good for the most part. I really like this track. I think this track and Homestead probably are my top 2. I had a horrible run at Homestead earlier this season because my wheel was messing up on me, but it was also a part of my fault too. Just didn't race that well, so I really wanted to redeem myself here. And we start off the race, and I start having internet issues, and I was just like, "You've got to be kidding me! This is another one of my favorite tracks. I'm having problems." But I was able to get that squared away and started to focus more on driving. And overall, everybody was pretty clean. The track felt really nice, honestly, and I was just able to kind of take my time and work my way to the front, and overall just really had a lot of fun.
Well, you put on quite the show here tonight in that driven Bay Life Chevy Camaro. We've got a bye week next week, Ryan. We'll then follow up with a super speedway of Talladega, Las Vegas, then Atlanta. 3 great racetracks to finish out the season. What can we expect from the 91 in the coming weeks?
Well, it'll be nice to have a break because it was perfect timing because I will be in Las Vegas for the actual race, so that was awesome to not miss a race. And I like Talladega more than Daytona, so I think I could do pretty good there. Little wider track there for super speedway racing, and I'm definitely more of an aggressive driver, and I really want to redeem myself for Daytona because I honestly felt like I was too nice, and I really felt like I let a win or at least a top 3 slip And so I definitely want to redeem myself for that. And then obviously, yeah, Vegas and Atlanta, it's, not too far off from this place, and really fast and kind of hard working mile and a half tracks. So really excited for that. And yeah, just really overall excited for some more great racing.
Well, a third place finish is nothing to scoff at here tonight. Ryan Jones, anybody you'd like to say thanks to for getting up here on the podium?
Yeah, got to thank you guys for always letting us watch the races. It's super awesome to watch the replays. Everybody that tuned in. Got to thank the Payday team. Justin Wilson, Chase Berry, who couldn't make it this weekend. He's about to get married, so happy for him. And Johnny Rapp and Randy B for being the official tonight. We appreciate everything that we do for this league, and yeah, again to everybody for all the great racing today.
Well, congratulations, Ryan. We will see you in 2 weeks' time at Talladega. But for now, go celebrate.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Ryan Jones, that third place finish, best one yet of the season for the 91 team. I believe we've got Sky Shrek standing by with our second place finisher, the 28 of Chris Smith.
Hey, Chris, you got a copy?
I got you loud and clear.
You got P2 tonight after starting on the pole. What more do you think you would have needed to catch Jacob Bradley for the win?
I just need a little bit more right front there on that last stint. I feel like I kind of used up all the goodie just trying to get around Ryan there, and he was doing a really good job of, positioning his car where it was a little bit difficult for me. I had to use my tires a little bit more to get around him than what I wanted to, and by the time I got there and got around him, I started driving a little bit too hard, making some mistakes, missing my marks. And Jacob, I think that he's really, really good at, just holding on to a little bit. He likes to build up that gap and maintain that gap. And he kind of walked away from me there at the end, kind of showed me what he really had. But hey, we'll take this result. It's pretty good finish tonight.
Yeah, talk to us about the racing for a second, because it was a really tight battle with Ryan Jones back there.
Yeah, it was. I was trying to use one time down the front stretch. I kind of misjudged a little bit and tagged the right rear on the wall and kind of strug it along the wall all the way through 1 and 2, and that set us back a little bit. And I was just trying to. I didn't want to run up there too long because the right front was what was getting really hot tonight, and I just kind of wanted to build some momentum up to where I could get underneath him and then maybe try to roll the bottom. If I could hit the paint with the left front. Down there, in 3 and 4 especially, I could really, really roll underneath guys pretty well. So it worked out, and he came back steaming pretty strong there at the end. He had saved a little bit, and I had used up a little bit. So it was good race to the end.
All right, you're still fourth in points, but finishing in front of Levi Cox and Braxton DeWeese has pushed you a little bit further into the fight here. You're only 30 points back at Jacob Bradley right now. So what do you need to do to claim this title over the last 3 races?
Well, we need some, these guys are really good. They're up here at the front every single week. So it takes some bad luck from them probably for me to be able to make up that ground. This was a good result tonight, getting the pole and, leading some laps here. But or I don't even know if we led laps tonight. But we got the lottery coming up here next race, Talladega. So, I mean, that can go, a number of different ways, and a lot of them bad. So, we got a couple good tracks after that, Las Vegas and Old Atlanta, I think at the very end of the schedule. And that's always been a pretty good place for me. So we'll need some bad luck and some good luck on our part, but hey, who knows? We'll just keep on showing up, keep digging, and hopefully we'll be around at the end of this thing.
All right. Well, anyone you want to thank or shout out tonight?
Yeah, I'll just give a quick shout out to Pocket Crew Chief. They're the sponsor here of the series, and it's a really, really great tool. If you're into open setups and trying to build open setups, be sure to check it out. Pocket Crew Chief. My whole Slingshot Racing team, Ellis, Paul, Steve, sticking in there. Good results for all of them tonight. My mom and dad at home, if they're still watching. All the league admins, you guys for doing an awesome job in the broadcast on VSPEED. Randy for race control, and everybody for tuning in.
All right. Well, congrats on P2 tonight, Chris Smith.
Appreciate it, man. Have a good one.
Well, we were talking to him. I think Logan's caught back up with our race winner tonight. That'd be Jacob Bradley in the 50.
We've got Jacob Bradley down here in the winner's circle for the second time in 2 weeks. Jacob, you won Sebring in dominating fashion. You had a 24-second lead by the end of the race. If you had a green flag run, you were on pace to do it again tonight. What was the key to the success for the 50 team here at Charlotte?
Man, it's just saving the tires here. We run such a tight setup, or the fix apps are so tight here that it just kind of plows. If you don't save the right front, it's not going to last for the long run. So I just really backed up my entry, focused on the center, and ultimately it paid off in the end. They'd kind of stay with me for 10 laps, and then we'd start pulling 2/10, maybe a tenth a lap. So pretty good.
Speaking of pulling away, you broke the tie with Levi Cox. Unfortunate finish for Levi Cox tonight, but now you have an 11-point gap over the 15 of DeWeese, 28 points over Cox. You're in a great position going into the last 3 races. What kind of a strategy should we expect to see coming out of the 50 team? Is it going to be drive to survive, or are we going for wins every single week?
I like to go for wins every week. I like to go for the glory of it. And if the last time I tried to run safe for a championship, it didn't work out very well. So I think I'm going to keep going with the strategy that's been working. Just get past Talladega there, try and get some bonus points, and see what the championship holds for us in these final 3 weeks.
With that said, Talladega is the only super speedway between the 3. However, Atlanta is starting to kind of drive like a super speedway, ultimately still a 1.5-mile racetrack. We got 2 more of those. Are we going to expect to see kind of the same performance here? You seem to be rather dominant at these, moderate ovals.
If it's old Atlanta, I think it is, that I could probably guarantee a good performance there. Las Vegas is kind of a grip track, so we're going to have a lot more people staying close together, and it's going to be hard to break away like I did here. So the next 2 weeks or the next 2 races are going to be a little bit tougher. But definitely that final race, I feel a lot more confident in being able to put together a good run.
Sounds like a plan, buddy. Well, before we split ways with you here tonight and let you go celebrate, is there anybody you'd like to say thanks for putting this 50 on top of the podium here tonight?
Yeah, I want to thank everybody for watching. I want to thank you guys for doing the broadcast. I want to thank Evan Pienta Designs, making the race logo, doing a lot of paint scheme stuff for me. And I want to thank all the admins here at Spark. John and Robert really put in a lot of effort there. Nathan puts in a lot of effort, and it really shows.
Awesome. Well, enjoy your off week. Next week, we'll catch you back at Talladega in 2 weeks' time, Jacob. Congratulations on tonight. 104 laps led out of the 110.
Thank you.
Well, Sky, another fantastic race here on the East Coast. What were your thoughts about tonight?
I think it was a great race. We had a lot of battles all throughout the field. There were some great battles for second, great racing in the mid-pack, a lot of really tight action, and no one was really able to pull away kind of in the middle of the field. There was still a lot of great battles throughout the race.
You're not wrong about that. A lot of battles all throughout the field, and it's only going to get more intense as we come back to Talladega and then Las Vegas and Atlanta to settle who's going to be the championship winner here in the Pocket Crew Chief Winter Series by Spark Racing. But if you enjoyed tonight's coverage, be sure to drop a like and subscribe so you never miss another race. For everybody behind the scenes at Spark and everybody behind the scenes at VSPEED, Adam Baker, Bradley Cooper, Eddie Smith, Morgan Cook, and of course, our co-host every single week, Sky Shrek. I've been Logan Threlkeld. We will see you in 2 weeks' time for the last 3 races of what's been an amazing season so far. Good night, everybody.